Hello and welcome to Jenna Borelli Life. I'm your host, Jenna Borelli, and I am a hypnotherapist and a wellness coach. And this is a new format that I'm testing out to provide some new content to all you lovely folks who are looking to change your lives in a sustainable, fun, interesting, and realistic way. So, thanks for tuning in. This is my first time doing this type of video, so I'm really, really excited to dive in. Let's get to it. So, for today's micro session, we are going to be talking about goal setting and some of the strategies that we can use and some of the questions to think about in order to actually achieve our goals and to change our habits and to provide ourselves with the foundation that we need in order to radically change our lives, but keyword in a very sustainable way. So you might be thinking, how can you do something radically in a sustainable way? And that is through patience, time, and a lot of self awareness. So let's get into it. So today, the first thing that I want you to think about as you are watching this video is to think about a goal that is really, really important to you. This goal could be, I want to work out consistently 3 times at the gym. This goal could be, I want to read for 5 to 10 minutes every single night before bed. This goal could be, I want to eat vegetables with 2 to 3 meals a day. This goal could be, I want to cut out alcohol from my life. I want to drink less, or I want to consume less of a certain substance. Could be anything. So take a moment now and think about one goal. I want you to focus on one goal for today. And now that you have your single goal in mind, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. And then I'm going to walk you through those 2 questions and why they're significant and how to kind of take some steps to really implement this goal and to change the habits that are around this goal. So the first question that I want you to ponder on, and after I ask this question, you can pause the video and journal on it, or you can just take a moment to think about it. So the first question I'm asking you in regards to your goal, in regards to developing this new habit around your goal is, why do you want this goal? Deep down at the core level, why do you want this goal? So you can pause the video, you can write about it, you can think about it, or you can just keep going and come back to the question. Question number 2 is, what maladaptive or less than savory habits are currently in the way of helping me achieve this goal or to develop these new habits? And what I mean by maladaptive is any kind of habit that is not helping you get to where you need to go. And I try to avoid labeling things as good or bad. A very clinical term is maladaptive. It's often used in terms of like maladaptive coping mechanisms or maladaptive behaviors. So for the purpose of today's question, I want you to think about, what are the current habits that are in the way of you achieving your goal? What are you currently doing that is preventing you from achieving your goal? Once again, here, you can pause the video, you can take a moment to think about it, or you can just carry on and listen to the rest of what I have to say. And so there's 2 reasons why I asked this specific set of questions. It is because I believe these 2 questions are foundational in you uncovering the real reason why you want a goal and the real reason why you're struggling to achieve this goal or any goal. So let's break down question number 1. Why do you want this goal? The reason why I really encourage you to think on this question is to help you gain some self-awareness behind your desires and behind your interests, and also to discover if this goal is actually meant for you. So in this discovery process, you might realize that the goal that you set up is actually a goal that someone else wants you to do. Maybe it's because you have a partner who wants you to do the goal. Maybe you grew up in a certain kind of household and they want you to do this certain goal. Maybe you saw someone on social media doing this goal or habit. Or maybe you just have a specific mindset that makes you believe in order to live a better life, you have to do this goal. Or alternatively, through your introspection and your self-awareness, you find out that you do really want this goal. This goal would make you feel better. This goal would make you feel stronger, feel more enlightened, feel smarter, feel more in your body. So I encourage you to ask yourself that first question, why do I truly want this goal? Why do I really want this new habit? So that you can truly foundationally understand what is the desire, what is the reason. And so again, if you end up doing this discovery and you find out the reason that you want to go to the gym is because your partner said something negative about you and not because you want to get stronger or feel better in your body, I would maybe recommend adjusting the goal or finding a way to make the goal about yourself or about something that you desire versus about an exterior motivator. And so now let's talk about question number 2, which is, what are the current behaviors, patterns, maladaptive habits that are currently happening that are preventing you from achieving your goal? Let me give you an example to really understand this question. I personally want to be someone who reads every single night, no matter what, no matter how tired I am, for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes. Like, I really want to develop the goal of reading every night. Answering question number 1, I want to do it because I love to learn. It relaxes me. I'm trying to develop better sleep habits. And I know being off my phone before bed is really, really good for my circadian rhythm, for my hormones, for my mental and physical health, etc. So I know why I want this goal. It's extremely important to me. This is a goal I've wanted for a long time. Bringing it back to question number 2, what's standing in the way of this goal? Every night when I get ready for bed, I get into the late night, self-sabotage, procrastinator mode, or the late night, sort of numbing mode. And I start to scroll on my phone in bed. It's a lot easier for me to lay in bed and scroll on my phone because it's something that I've done for a long time. This is a habit that I've had for years. Whereas reading every night consistently is not a habit that I've had for years. While I have had success in reading before bed, I have not done it consistently for years. I've done it sort of in patterns or in bursts where all of a sudden I'll do it for a week and then I'll stop doing it and I'll do it for a week. So to answer question number 2, right now, my late night scrolling is getting in the way of me developing this better habit of reading before bed. So now that I have this sort of data about myself, this information, I have awareness of why I want the goal. I have awareness of what's standing in the way of my goal. Now I have the ability to empower myself and to make the decisions to actually commit to the goal. And so now this is where the fun part comes in. I'm going to talk to you about some of the different ways that you can actually start achieving your goals. And I'm going to talk about the different tools that I've used, the different modalities, and that'll give you the opportunity to do some exploring, to do some, research, to do some soul searching to determine which method is going to be best for you. Because it's really, really important to understand not all wellness advice, not all mindset advice is going to work for everyone. I personally have ADHD, so a lot of my, habits have to be around rewards or about, boosting dopamine. So just keep that in mind for yourself and your own specific needs. So I'm going to use myself as your guinea pig so you have a better idea of how to get started. Thinking about the goal, I want you to get as granular and specific as you can if you haven't done so already. So for me, I would like to develop the habit of 5 out of 7 nights of the week reading for at least 5 minutes a night. I think that's a really great goal because it's specific. taking a sidebar, I'm sure you've learned about SMART goals in school and, in the corporate world, if that's a world you're part of. But, bringing it back to the goal, it's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable. I forgot the R and T. Timely, I forgot the R. But, you get the idea. Saying, I would like to read 5 out of 7 nights a week for 5 minutes is also nice because it gives me a little bit of grace period. It's not saying every single night, it's saying 5 out of 7 days. So now that I've gotten a little more granular with my goal, I can think about, what do I need to help myself achieve this goal? What resources, what motivators, what rewards do I need in order to achieve this goal? So for me, I really, really love habit tracking, but I only really like to track 1 or 2 habits at a time because it can get really overwhelming. So for this habit, what I would do for myself and what I plan on doing, taking my own advice, is creating some kind of tracking system. A lot of times I literally just use a note on my phone, or I just use a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be fancy. Or you can get one of those really cool fancy planners, like whatever floats your boat. So what I would do, and what I plan on doing, using myself as the guinea pig, is I would develop a way to track all of the days that I'm reading. I would basically say, okay, I'm going to track this behavior for 30 days, which means of those 30 days, I need to be reading 5 out of every 7 days, essentially. So do the math. It's approximately, I think, 25 days. Please don't quote me. I'm not a mathematician. So I would determine the exact number of days in one calendar month that I need to read. I would determine the way to measure. So for me, it would be either 5 days in a row or 5 out of every 7. And then I would also allow myself to do more if that feels good. So I don't have to cut myself off at the 5 days. I can do the full 7. Or I can even modify the goal and say, okay, I know I want to read 25 out of 30 days. And so as I'm kind of developing this goal and developing a framework to achieve the goal, I can experiment a little and I can give myself some lenience, or I can give myself some grace, or I can give myself some challenges or ways to beef the goal up. So I know that my method of tracking has to be really unique to me. And I think when I get started on this goal, what I plan on doing is keeping track of it and basically asking myself, did I read today? Yes or no? Was it for 5 minutes? Yes or no? And from there, I can track more data. I can track how many pages I read. I can track what book I read, if that suits me. Realistically, I like to keep it as simple as possible. So I probably will just ask myself in my little note on my phone, did I read today? Yes or no? And then when it gets to the end of the 30 days, I can look and say, okay, I hit that 25-day mark, or I hit that 5 days in a row, or like whatever that final sort of measure of this goal is. So I know how to achieve my goal. I know how to review my goal through measuring it. Now, what I find is super important is developing a reward system for developing this new goal. I am a huge proponent of rewarding yourself for anything and everything, especially developing a new goal. When I was on my sober journey, I'm almost 3 years sober from alcohol. When I started my sober journey, every single month I gave myself a reward. Every single month I gave myself a reward. It would be small things. It would be big things. When I hit the 6-month mark, I got myself a beautiful Kate Spade purse, took myself on vacation, all that good stuff. So depending on how long you plan on tracking the goal, depending on what the goal is, I really, really recommend rewarding yourself for achieving that goal. So for something like this, if I'm going to track this goal for 30 days, the first thing that I'm going to do as my reward is let myself buy a book, because I love buying books, but I'm not always great about being consistent about reading them. So what better way to motivate myself than let myself know that I get to buy a book? If I wanted to take it to another level, I wouldn't even let myself buy any books during the 30-day challenge to really motivate myself to get to the other side, to delay the dopamine, to say, okay, I have to finish the 30-day challenge before I can buy any new books. So that is one thing that I find really, really valuable in goal setting, is giving myself a reward that feels exciting, that feels motivating. And then assessing after that first month or that first period of time, how can I bump the reward up? What is the next reward? What is the next sort of chase to get myself to build the habit? And once you're done doing your first iteration of this habit, so maybe you're choosing to track it for a month, for 2 months, and once you've given yourself those initial rewards and you've been like, okay, I can do this, the next thing that I really recommend doing is reflecting on the experience. What was hard about it? What was easy? What did you enjoy? What surprised you? This allows you to reflect and to embed this experience in your subconscious mind and to really think about it as a concrete thing that you are doing. So I've provided with you some ideas to help you develop this new habit and to really think about it in an interesting and unique way. What I've shared isn't anything like groundbreakingly different or new. This is just what's worked for me and what I've seen work for clients. One other thing that I highly recommend is considering self-hypnosis or hypnotherapy as a way for you to really supercharge your goals and to really push yourself to the next level in a sustainable, interesting, creative, and intuitive way. And so when you're using hypnotherapy or you're using self-hypnosis, you are guided into a deeply relaxed state, either in your beta or theta brainwave state, depending on how relaxed you are. And when you're in this deeply relaxed state, you are able to work with your subconscious mind. You're able to access your subconscious mind in a way more clear way than if you were trying to in your waking day, in your conscious mind. And with this, you're able to identify what blocks are in the way, what beliefs are in the way, what negative emotions or associations or patterns. And working with a trained hypnotherapist, you're able to identify, target, and then decide what to do with anything that's getting in the way of you achieving your goals. This is something that I highly recommend you consider. If hiring a hypnotherapist isn't in your budget, you could also consider self-hypnosis. I plan to produce a video on how to do that soon. There's also other YouTube creators who have created these videos, but if you liked what I've created, I'd love for you to stick around for that video and to learn about self-hypnosis. So to kind of wrap everything up, to think about the big picture, you are capable of achieving your goals. You really are. And if you felt like you've struggled in the past, that doesn't mean that you can't do it in the future. You are capable. What's really important for you to do is to understand intrinsically, why do you want these new goals? Why do you want these new habits? You also need to understand what behaviors are you currently using that are getting in the way? What behaviors are keeping you stuck? And then it's taking the initiative through incentive, through reward, through curiosity, through support, through a hypnotherapist, through support through a regular therapist or a wellness professional. It's using resources to help you get to the other side so that you're able to make the change and you're able to start that domino effect. So you start by going to bed earlier because that's a habit, and you're reading before bed for 5 minutes because that's a habit. And then you start waking up earlier every day because you've started these other habits. And then all of a sudden you start working out more and so all of a sudden you're triggering into an array of new habits. It takes time. It really does. But that's not a bad thing. In fact, that's a good thing. You want it to take time because the more time that you can build around the new habit, the stickier it is, the better it is, the more likely you are to continue it. So thank you so much for joining me today. This is my first video in this format. The next video will be about self-hypnosis. So I really hope you subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram. Feel free to subscribe. And I really look forward to providing more insight on how to change your life in a very radical yet sustainable way. So take care and crush those goals, and I'll see you soon.